In today's video, I'll be shooting sunset, plus I'll be sharing a game-changing editing secret that will definitely help to improve your photos. So welcome back to the coast, and it's a pretty chilly day. I have to tell you, the weather has completely turned on its head over the last few days. We've been having some really strong westerly weather patterns which introduce quite warm air into this area, but right now it's coming from the east and it's struggling to get above freezing. So yeah, completely different atmosphere. So I'm hoping to capture some different images here today. Now we're about 2 miles away from where we were last week when we shot that waterfall image, so still pretty close by to that area, but yeah, conditions are a lot different. A lot of blue hues in the sky, which is quite interesting. Some dramatic cloud patterns, a little bit of swell running down here too, some very interesting rock formations. So I'm hoping to piece together something that could be quite interesting. We'll be working on that over the next couple of hours, and then a little bit later on in the video we're going to head back to the office. I'm going to show you a neat little editing trick that can really help save some screen time, help cut down the editing time, so that's well worth staying tuned for as well. So let's go and see if we can make a couple of images here this evening. Yeah, looks pretty dramatic. Let's go and see if we can make something good. So I'm going to put the wide angle lens on. I think I'm going to try and get right down low to the boulders here, these wet slippery boulders, and try to use those as a foreground interest, and then yeah, just have this dramatic sky in the background. I think that could make quite a nice dramatic shot to start with. So let's get the tripod out. For this first shot I decided to focus on the small pool of light breaking just above the horizon, as I think it makes a nice focal point. The rest of the image is minimal but quite texture heavy, with dramatic clouds and dark boulders in the foreground. Ideal, I think, for a black and white conversion. Whenever clouds are one of the main focal points of my image, I'm trying to be as patient as I possibly can. What I'm looking for is the cloud to complement the rest of the composition. This could be in the form of a light break, or it could just be how the composition of the clouds draws the eye into the scene, adding depth. Either way, patience is definitely key for getting the best results. So we've had some incredible conditions over the last 30 minutes or so. As you can see, I've got the wide angle lens on. I've also got a 3-stop filter on the front of the lens as well, which is helping me stop, obviously 3 stops of light, just to drag my shutter out just a little bit. Keeping my eye on these waves because they come crashing over these boulders. I have to be really careful because I've got the tripod really low. We'll talk about why I've got that so low in a second, but yeah, we're getting between half a second and about a second depending on the light at the time, which is good. It's allowing me to play around with different shutter speeds to see how that affects the foreground. And as I mentioned, I've got the tripod quite low down, and the reason for that is because I'm really focusing on the sky, but with the wide angle lens, if I've got the tripod set up really low down, it still accentuates that foreground as well, which is really nice. We've got these waves crashing over these glossy boulders, which really add texture and detail to the foreground. Otherwise it's just a little bit boring perhaps. And these skies have been absolutely brilliant over the last 15-20 minutes. Dark bands of like dark blues mixed in with some golden and purple hues as well. Look really stunning, very, very dramatic. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the last 20 minutes. We're going to continue to shoot this, and then maybe we'll work on a different composition. Oh, these boulders are treacherous. So that was a pretty interesting 20 minutes or so there with those dramatic clouds. But I think what we'll do now is head back to the office because it's gone very overcast, and then I'll share this little editing tip that could save you some time on your next edit. So let's get back to the office. So before we get into this neat little hidden editing secret, I just want to say a big thanks to Simon, who is a member of the Photographers Clubhouse, for sending in this tip, because I would have never have thought about this myself. So yeah, thanks Simon. And by the way, the Photographers Clubhouse, which is our members site, currently has 20% off. Over there we have a members forum where we all come together to discuss all things photography. We also have a members gallery, and there are a few of my photography classes over there too. It's a great space to meet other like-minded folk, and it costs less than a pint of beer, and it helps to keep this channel going. The link for that is down in the description if you fancy checking it out. Anyway, let's get on to this hidden trick. So I want to talk about selecting skies in Lightroom, because in my opinion, it's always been a little on the under-refined side, if you will. So back in the day, we only had the linear gradient tool, didn't we? Which meant that we could adjust everything along the line of the gradient, which wasn't that helpful if we had, say, mountains or hills protruding above the horizon in the shot. Then came along the intersect tool, which allowed us to refine the masks, by painting certain parts of the mask out or intersecting them with another tool. These days though, we have the awesome AI tools that really help with our selections, such as the sky selection tool. As a whole, I think the sky selection tool does a really good job most of the time selecting the skies, but quite often we can see that sometimes the mask bleeds over to other parts of the image, which means that when we make an adjustment to the sky, we're also adjusting parts of the image that we don't necessarily want to be adjusted. Take this image here. If we come up to the masks section and select the sky detection mask, we can just about see on the mask overlay that it's bleeding into the mountain a touch. Now, I think this can be difficult to spot sometimes, so what I tend to do is drop the blacks and the exposure all the way down so we can clearly see which parts of the image are being affected by the mask. So there are a few ways of sorting this, like subtracting these areas with the brush tool, but that can be quite finicky and it can take a long time to do. But the easiest method of all is hidden away here, which I would never have thought about trying because it is just so random. But what we're going to do is intersect the sky with the sky. Now, I know it sounds a bit odd, but it really does tidy up the mask. Take a look at how that changes this mask. It's now much cleaner and much more refined. And I think it's a bit of a game changer, to be honest, because it will save so much time messing around with brushes and so forth. So we can still intersect the sky with a linear gradient tool to make it look more natural. And as you can see, by adding a linear gradient, we're now seeing those adjustments painted onto the top portion of the sky, which is definitely more realistic. So a big thanks to Simon for telling me all about this neat little trick, because I would have never have thought about intersecting the sky with the sky. It's just a completely random thing to do, but it really does work. So I absolutely love learning new little tricks like this. I think every day is a school day in photography, isn't it? So in this video up here, I discussed 7 different ways we can improve our photos, and it's well worth a look. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it the old thumbs up. And if you'd like to join the community, then be sure to check out the Photographers Clubhouse. The link for that is up there as well, and also down in the description. Until next week, take care, and I hope to see you all very soon.